What's up, RPG fans? Welcome to episode 21 of the Switchrpg podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Philip, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Gio. What's up, man?
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing really, really good.
Very cool.
Father Nintendo, that was it. I knew I was supposed to call you something. It was Father Nintendo, Gio.
Father Nintendo.
Yeah, Father Nintendo.
No,
Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time listening, this is the official podcast from the website, Switchrpg.com, that brings you exciting news, upcoming game releases, and all the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch platform. This week, we are talking about more. Yes, I said more Switch ports, RPG combat, and money? Yes, you heard me. Money. Let's get the show started. Gio, did you have a comeback for Father Nintendo?
No, I mean, I have a tough time reading, and okay, so when you have a tough time reading, it concerns me.
Yeah.
So what happened? You read my bio, and you were like...
Saw your bio, didn't see the period between Father Nintendo and everything else. So
you thought I was Father Nintendo.
I was just like, hey, he's the self-proclaimed Father Nintendo, and I'm okay with that.
No way would I ever proclaim that, because I think there are others that are way ahead of me. But I guess that's a compliment. I don't know. Whatever. I'll take it.
For those of you who haven't listened to us from the beginning, I think one of our very first episodes was establishing our Mount Rushmore Nintendo, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm not on it.
Maybe you're on mine.
Oh.
You can't decide what's on mine.
You can chisel me in. Sweet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's cover some housekeeping real quick. We got just a really fast thing here. Switchrpg.com now has forums. Went live today. Today being Monday. You're listening to this. No, today being Tuesday.
Yes.
We're recording on Tuesday. The whole week is messed up. It's messed up.
You can't handle it.
But whenever you're listening or watching to this, we do have forums. I believe the link for that is switchrpg.com/forums.
Forums,
So,
yep.
Come be a part.
So, kind of cool. It's been a while since I've used forums, because I mean, I guess Reddit, you can consider that a forum, but it's been a while since I've even touched that. So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's get on into the news. We got some things to talk about here.
Sure do.
All right, so full disclosure, we postponed recording because we thought that we'd have a lot to talk about coming out of the Switch Nindies showcase. Gio, was that the case?
Not really. A lot of the items there, I think we kind of already knew. I know that Undertale was shown. We already knew about Undertale. I know that was it Wasteland 2? Is it Wasteland?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we already knew about that, I believe. I think the surprise was maybe Into the Breach was a surprise, and maybe Bastion Transistor. Okay, so maybe those were surprises, but those are kind of lightweight, in my opinion. RPGs, they were made quite a while ago.
They were, and it's not even the most recent game from that developer, which would be Pyre. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are now wondering about that. They did address that and said that it's not out of the question, but because all of their games I think they said are made on their own custom tech, putting them on new platforms is sort of a deal. So
sure,
we'll see.
Right. Yeah, so whether or not they they did it themselves, or they ported it out, it sounds like they did it themselves. So maybe they're just getting their toes into the water, and for the next iteration or whatever else they do, Nintendo's on their mind.
Hey, it's never a bad thing.
Nope.
All right, first official story that we're covering today is more Octopath Traveler. Are you sick of it yet? I hope not.
Yes,
I
I
know you
am.
are. We're just gonna talk a little bit here. All right,
That's
because this is pretty big. I think this is pretty cool. I think this is pretty
it
dang
is
cool.
it is very big actually.
So the month of July 2018, the NPD numbers came out and topping the charts, dethroning the god Grand Theft Auto 5 is Octopath Traveler, which is the highest selling game as of July across any platform.
Does it sound like what you're saying? I mean, so what you're saying in the lifetime of Grand Theft Auto, Octopath has passed
No,
that? Is
no,
that
no, no, no. No, this
oh,
is
okay?
just for the month of July. Just for
So
the month of July. It's
the
outsold.
fact that Grand Theft Auto is still there
Yeah.
boggles my mind.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's there like month in and month out up
it's
there near the
nuts.
top. Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts. But Octopath being in there, you know, it wasn't expected to be there. I don't think so. That's
According to Square Enix, they didn't expect it to be there.
no right.
But and because I mean, it was supposed to be a testing game. It was testing the waters.
Hmm.
But here it is. It's just blown the doors off. And the thing is that, and I'm getting the specific list and the rundown here from Destructoid, so you can go check out their list. But it details that these numbers do not include digital sales for Octopath Traveler. So we're just talking physical sales outpaced Grand Theft Auto 5.
And I would feel that Octopath would sell a lot more on well, not necessarily the game itself, just the fact that you can take your Switch on the go. I think that leads more to digital or downloadable games over physical games. That's just what I feel.
And I don't know this for a fact. I mean, everybody take this with a grain of salt. But the fact that Octopath Traveler had so many stock issues, I wonder if that forced a little bit more digital sales because of that, because people wanted to get the game as quickly as possible. So even without digital sales, it's still topping the charts, and I think that that's pretty dang cool. And so to know that we've got the digital sales on top of that, it's undeniably a massive, massive success for Nintendo.
Right. Very good.
The other sort of story in here a little bit is that Nintendo is just smashing things, because Octopath Traveler is 1, Mario Kart 8 is 3, Zelda Breath of the Wild is 5, Super Mario Odyssey is 7, and 8, 9, 10. Number 10 is Mario Tennis Aces.
Wow.
So top 10, what was that? 4 or 5 of the top 10 go to Nintendo, Nintendo exclusives.
Right.
And then Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is also up there. So there you go.
Right.
Just absolutely insane. And the article does say that purchasing is up. This says it's up 17% over the same period of last year. So more people are buying more into games and consoles, hardware, software, things like that. So I think it's good. Gaming is in a really good spot right now, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for all of us.
For sure.
It's good for all of us.
For sure.
All right. So second up, we got comicbook.com is giving a rundown that Phantasy Star is coming to the Nintendo Switch in September. Now, this is a port of the original Phantasy Star. It's going to be a part of the Sega Ages, and it's going to, like I said, release in September. Now, as far as I know, there's no necessarily like a visual upgrade to this, other than making it, actually viewable on a high def screen. As
right.
high def as the Switch screen is.
Yes. Right.
but there are some new things with it, like it will show you the maps of dungeons and stuff like that, but I'm
Okay.
not sure exactly on the other if it has too many other features.
Right. And I wonder if they're going to do that with their other games that they're coming out with the Sega Ages, where if they're going to do like the 4:3 aspect ratio or, use the whole screen. For me, it would kind of look weird if they did the entire screen because it's kind of a wide screen,
Hmm.
you know. Um, will they do what they do with the NES and the SNES Classic, where they have kind of like the borders that you can put on the sides of the screen? Um, it'd be interesting to see if that's what they're gonna do. But I mean, it's cool. I've never played Fantasy Star, so I mean, I don't claim to be an expert at one bit, but it's awesome that it's just another classic RPG coming, and yeah.
I got to a discussion with somebody this past week about this specific topic because I'm pretty positive on the fact that this is coming because I like you I've never been able to play Fantasy Star. In fact, if you kind of do some looking around, it's fairly difficult to get. You can get an original cartridge for I think like $20 on eBay,
Okay.
but you got to have the console to be able to play.
Hmm.
There hasn't really been, as far as I know, there hasn't really been a digital release of this. If I'm totally wrong, somebody please let me know. There was not one that I could necessarily find like on Steam or something. I'm not sure if there's one in iOS.
Yeah.
So for me, it's never a bad thing if the game comes out on a new console. Now a lot of some of the the lashback from this is that it's like Switch Switch exclusive. So a lot of people are going to be missing out on this, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, you're finally releasing this classic game, but you're doing so in a way that's blocking so many people from actually getting it,
Hmm.
which is seen by some people as a bad thing. I just feel like that's the nature of the beast. I mean,
Hmm.
this thing was exclusive on a console when it first came out on Sega, and like it's exclusive now. That's just the nature. We deal with exclusivities all the time in gaming. So to me, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. But the
Right.
other the other the other thing that this person I was in a discussion with, the other thing that they were pointing out is that they wish that publishers and developers would just make all of their games available. Stop picking and choosing which you label as classics
Hmm.
when there are so many other games out there that have not received this kind of treatment. Why not make your other stuff available? And I do get that frustration. I totally do. I totally see it. If this were a perfect world, I would want all of that stuff available.
Right.
But since this, like I said, is the nature of the beast, this is the world we live in, I'm never going to complain about an older game being, you know, remastered or ported over to a new thing because I make the argument all the time that if I could play this game, then I would not download a ROM or something like that. I would not emulate it.
Sure.
So if I make that claim, I've got to put my money where my mouth is, and if the publisher does
Make it
release
available. Yep.
make it available on whatever platform that is made available, as long as it's available new, then I gotta buy it. If I'm going to play it. So they're doing this. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think I will finally check this game out.
Right, and it's kind of a good thing that it's more of a straight up port than it is a remake or remaster, because we've seen those things kind of go bad.
Ooh, looking in your corner, Square Enix.
Yep. So it might be a good thing that it's kind of more of a straight up port and not like Secret of Mana where it's just a straight up disaster when they remaster it.
All right. Next up from Jamatsu, we've got that potentially the next East title is currently in development. East 8 Lacrimosa of Dana is available on Nintendo Switch. We've reviewed it for the site. A lot of people played it. I know a lot of people really like it. Um, but it's possible that they're in development for the next game, possibly East 9. Uh,
And Switch exclusive, right? Did I read that somewhere? Maybe not.
I don't know. It doesn't look like
Okay.
that's in the thing that I'm looking at. I'm not sure.
Sure.
I'm not sure if that would be exclusive.
Okay. Maybe I want it to be Switch exclusive.
If anybody does have that information, please let us know. But yeah, Gio, do you have much experience with the East franchise?
No, not much experience, but with this past iteration, the Lacrimosa of Dana, I did watch a lot of gameplay of it. I did read the review. It looks interesting to me. It
Mm-hmm.
does feel like it's lacking something. I'm not entirely sure what that something is. I don't know if the environment just doesn't look lived in. I I can't quite place it, but it looks kind of cool. Maybe it just looks a little dated to me. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not entirely sure. I can't pinpoint what it is. But yeah, I mean, it looks okay. It's just kind of expensive for what it looked like. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I if it looks good, I would be into it, but I don't know.
Yeah. So the big thing out of this article is that there is a quote from one of the developers, and it's the president, the Falcon president. He says, "We are working on a new game. It will not be a remake, but it's a brand new title. So that's why we're thinking it's East 9." Now, Geo, to
To help me out.
respond about the Switch exclusivity.
Okay.
This article points out that in 2014 is when at Tokyo Game Show is where they announced it initially. East 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, was announced in 2014 for 2016 release. I was at TGS. Now, this article says that Sony has a similar event planned for September the 10th, and it's possible that we might get some sort of announcement at Sony's press conference. So if that's the case, then it doesn't look like it would be
No,
Switch
not at
exclusive.
all. Now, what are your thoughts on the game on Lacrimosa?
I haven't played Lacrimosa. I really want to though. I really want
Okay.
to. The review, Meatball Sub was the one who reviewed it for the site. That was sort of my gateway into looking at the game, and then I've also, we shouted them out before, but RPG Golden Years, they recently played East 1 and 2 for their podcast, and I really want to play East 1 and 2, and so that, I think, has, both of those things have sort of opened the doors to that series for me, and now I'm very interested in seeing both the first entry and the latest entry, and then I will obviously be like honed in on whatever's coming out soon. I'm finding that I'm doing that with a lot of series that I haven't been able to get into. Maybe play the first and then the latest, and then go back and sort of fill in some of the gaps.
Sure, sure.
Our site owner, Firestream, is going. He's playing East 7 right now, and he said that it's pretty good. So
Cool.
East is on everyone's mind. All right. Also from Jamatsu, we got something interesting here for all you Shin Megami Tensei fans. That's Shin Megami Tensei 5 producer Kazuyuki Yamai. I don't know. Yeah, did my best.
Yep.
Did my best.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So he updated everyone on SMT5. Here's a rundown of what Shimatsu has listed. Number 1, we're working hard on it. Yes, it really is in development. Mostly everything from existing demons to characters is currently running on the hardware. We're making a game with content appropriate for a numbered title and without any compromises. We'll share an update when time is ripe, so please wait a little longer. We're constantly considering a port or remake of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. We're thinking we want to watch for an opportunity.
Maybe that's the Ghost Lab. Maybe that's what they're working on.
I thought that this was really interesting after what we said last week about Ghostlight. I think that you might be in the right ballpark, because we
Right.
did comment on how Ghostlight, who announced that they are now Switch official, and they are currently working on a port, right? That is, I'm pretty sure
Right.
what they said last week.
Yeah,
They
it's a
can't say
JRPG.
what it is. It is a JRPG. They
Right.
have worked with SMT games in the past and with Atlas. So I just thought that this was very interesting.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, and it's just kind of a sneaky comment there, and we're kind of connecting the dots here. Um, but yeah. Now, are you familiar with the SMT
Not at all.
franchise?
Not at all.
Okay. Neither am I. But I do see some references or similarities to Persona, and I like that.
Hmm.
So I have a feeling I will definitely like Shin Megami Tensei 5. So and they're not skimping out on it. They say it's a numbered title, so it's not going to be. I know they have a lot of, they have SMT4, and then they have a bunch of iterations in between. So it's not like that. This is an all. This is going to be a big deal. So that's going to be cool.
And so I wonder if that actually does, if that does give some credence to if they are all in on 5, somebody
Hmm.
else working on Nocturne.
Right.
I'm wondering.
Right. Now, is it Ghost Lab, Ghost Light? What was it?
Oh, you know what? You said Ghostlight, and I went all with you.
I gotta look it up now.
It is Ghostlight.
Ghost Light. Okay. Oh boy.
Dropped my
Oh boy.
mouse. All right. Yeah, so it's Ghostlight.
All right.
Interesting
Cool.
stuff. All right. Next up, reiterating what Gio mentioned earlier from the Nindies presentation, Fallout like RPG Wasteland 2 coming to Switch this September. I think, did we know that it was coming already, but then we just got the actual release?
I want to say I knew about it because I had gotten an email and it asked me if I was interested in it. It was like almost like a survey.
Hmm.
So I maybe that's I'm just confusing it. Maybe they just said, "Do you want to see it on the Switch?" And I said, "Of course I want to see it on the Switch." Um, but I thought I knew about it already. So
Maybe you can
I
just
don't.
see into the future.
I wish. I so wish.
Or maybe it just comes with being professional video game journalist.
Father Nintendo.
Father
Yes.
Nintendo, he just knew about it. He knew about it before it was ever a thing. Anyway, so here's my thing with Wasteland 2. No, I feel like I'm saying this a lot. No, I don't have any experience with the Wasteland franchise. I don't.
Yeah.
But when I heard it was Fallout like, honestly, was thinking,
Like Fallout 1 and 2.
yeah, okay,
Okay.
well, but to show what generation I'm from, I was thinking first person open world and was like, because I'm still not sold on that for the Switch. I just don't
What,
know.
the open world? Or
First person, just because, like, and I've said this before, like, I play Bethesda games on PC, and so I play keyboard mouse.
uh-huh.
I've just never been a console first person player, whether that be a shooter
Okay.
or
All
like
right.
a Bethesda
I
title or
I wasn't
uh
sure where you're gonna go with that, but there are first-person shooters on the Switch already.
mhm.
You have Doom and Wolfenstein, and
Okay,
but you're
so
you're just going console
and
altogether.
understand, I'm just talking about if I would be able to play this game, not does it work, does it fit, because
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that the games that are on there are great, and I think that they work fine. This
Okay.
is just a my personal preference. Can I play the game? Will I play the game well? When it comes to consoles and playing first person games, I really struggle with it. And that's because I come from a PC background where when I was learning how to play Halo, I was playing with keyboard and mouse. And then whenever Halo ditched the PC and went Xbox, and I just got my butt handed to me over and over again because I can't play shooters with with a controller. And then that goes for like Elder Scrolls games too. Started Elder Scrolls on PC, started Fallout on PC. It is hard for me to play on console. So
Man,
that is a
that is
super personal thing.
that is cheat. It's cheating. Okay. You become number one. You become a PC snob. Okay.
just
And
just like that. Just like
just
that. I'm
yeah,
PC
you're
master.
you're now a PC snob,
Yeah.
and I think it's a lot easier to play a first person shooter on on a mouse and keyboard. I mean, right?
Oh
It's a
yeah,
lot.
I mean yeah, totally. You take away that aim
So
assist, and it's a whole lot easier.
yeah, so you are not good at those games. So maybe that's the problem.
Oh, I know that it's because
I
I'm
know I'm
bad at the
definitely not
game. I know it's because I'm bad at the game. Definitely it is. So okay. So anyway, back on track. I was reading this rundown from GameSpot. This is a fantastic rundown. Okay, it and it explains how no Wasteland 2 is like Fallout 1 and 2.
But I'm sorry. I honestly I haven't had the opportunity to read the article. But does it say that Wasteland 1 was a predecessor to Fallout? Because I believe
Yes.
that's okay. Because that's
Yes.
kind of the order for winning. All right. Okay.
Yes, which I thought was very interesting.
Yep.
I love history, right? So yes, GameSpot dives into the fact that the Wasteland franchise is a similar setting as the Fallout series,
Yeah.
but the original
Post-apocalyptic.
Wasteland inspired the first Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the grand, not that it was the first, but right. So like Fallout, we looked at Fallout as the post-apocalyptic, RPG, but
Yeah.
Wasteland inspired that. So then Wasteland 2 is that, and do you want to call it tactical or strategic style RPG, where it's
Mm-hmm.
all about squad. The GameSpot, it says squad building, turn-based combat, things like that. So
Right.
that really excited me because like I
Yeah.
said, I had in my head first person open world, and I was like, okay, but squad based tactical RPG is
Mm-hmm.
right up my alley, right up my alley. And like I said, I mean, Wasteland 2 has been out for a while. It's been out for a while, and
Yeah.
this is going to be the Wasteland 2 director's cut. Um,
So it's got some additional content.
Adds a visual upgrade, and this says numerous gameplay features.
Okay.
So, for someone who never played Wasteland 2, I probably won't really know what all it's adding because it'll be
Right.
all new to me. But it's got screenshots here of the battle. This game came out in 2014. GameSpot gave it an 8 out of 10. It reviewed
Yeah.
positively there, and I am really excited about this now, and it is coming out in September 13th. So that
Yeah.
is not a long way off.
No, it's really close. Now, who was the original developer? Does it say it on there? Because what I'm wondering, it looks like an Obsidian type game, so it looks like something like Pillars of Eternity that's actually coming out relatively soon as well.
I
Which
know
I think,
I know it says In Exile Entertainment is the one who is actually bringing the port over. I don't know if that's the
okay,
original developer or not. So Wasteland 2, let's see, the developer, let's read it here.
yeah. What I'm
In Exile Entertainment.
it is an Exile.
Mhm.
Okay. But it reminds me of Pillars of Eternity, which is kind of doing the same type of thing. I don't remember if Wasteland 2 has a lot of the voice acting like Pillars of Eternity 2 is going to have. But I think that would be another game kind of right up your alley as well.
Interesting.
Now with Wasteland, it's an actual squad. I think it's like up 4.
Yeah. You start the game by creating 4 characters, and
Yeah,
you get to choose their classes and things like that.
yeah, but with Fallout 1 and 2, you're still the lone wanderer, so it's just one.
Okay.
I think it's just one dude. I think.
I've not played original Fallouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
You went straight to 3.
Fallout 3, yeah. 3 and 4.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. But yeah, this I hope it does well. I hope they don't price themselves out of doing well. So if it's something like $40, I think they're going to have a tough time selling
You
that
think
to
this
people.
is more of a $29.99 or even $19.99?
Or 24
$24.99?
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's an old game. It really is. Maybe this is just their way of kind of testing the market like a lot of developers are doing. Because I'd like to see this type of game do well. I do like these types of games. So I just hope they don't price themselves out of that.
Like I said, I'm excited about it. I'm probably going to pick this up. So
Yeah. Well, if it's $40 or $50, I don't think it's gonna be $50, but $40 is it's quite a bit of change.
yeah, yeah, no,
It's about
you're right
like a
though.
50-60 hour game, so you're gonna get your money's worth.
Sure,
Sure.
but I'm also thinking about, and I know a lot of other gamers are. Oh, I know a lot of other players are too.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
know a lot of other players are too thinking about a budget, and so
Mhm.
I know that I'm getting Dragon Quest XI the beginning of next month. I really want to finally get Final Fantasy 15 next month, and so that's already sort of two investments. And
Sure.
you're right that this could price itself out, but
And it's
fingers
not
crossed
even
it doesn't.
it's not just that, not just budget wise, but you're gonna come up with I think Diablo's kind of dealing with it now. This is like whenever that game came out. This is an old game and they're charging $60 for it. So I don't want them to have to deal with, this is an old game and they're charging whatever. I would just price it right and it'll sell itself. That's what I feel.
That's how he feels. That's the way it is. Do what he says. Do what he says.
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
back
sir.
over to Jamatsu. We've got Tower Defense action RPG Hell Warders. It's coming to all the consoles: PS4, Xbox One, Switch. This fall. Let's see. I don't know if there was a specific date here. It doesn't look like there's a specific date. So just later this fall. Now this is, like I said, Tower Defense action RPG.
Hmm.
It looks interesting. I watched the announcement trailer for it. Looks interesting. Have you had a chance to look at Hell Warders?
I did look at the trailer. It like you said, it does look interesting. It just reminds me of a Gears of War horde mode type of deal. Um, I don't know that it's for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see people getting into it, but it visually, I think it looks pretty cool.
And it does have 4-player co-op,
Hmm.
which is good for me. So that is both local and online matchmaking. So
Yeah,
that's pretty darn cool. That's pretty darn
yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, I think it'll do okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, you get 4-player co-op, class-based heroes. So you choose from 3 diverse heroes. So when you say class-based heroes and you only can choose 3, I don't know. Um, choose from 3 guys.
It is right now in Steam Early Access. So this might be a game that grows over time.
I hope so.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe, maybe.
yeah. I mean, why couldn't you expound on 3 heroes? You should be able to do better than. But I think it looks really cool. But but I think you had mentioned this tower defense games for it's just not for me.
Typically, that's
Yeah,
not my cup of tea. But
but
I do like. There have been a couple that, because they were co-op, I kind of got into. And no, it's not necessarily tower defense, but I really kind of got into Hyrule Warriors with one of my buddies here
okay.
playing local co-op. That was
Yep.
cool. And so like the concept of fighting these waves of enemies, or these hordes of enemies with a hero, I kind of fell in love with that. It helped that it's building off of the Zelda lore and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
which this game does not have. Right? You
Right.
you mentioned it only has 3 heroes to choose from, or 3 hero types.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got a ways to go before I'm like interested. But
Sure.
for those who this really speaks to, I think it looks interesting.
Mm-hmm. Keep your eyes out.
All right, and last but not least, we've got Bastion and Transistor both coming to Nintendo Switch. These are going to be coming September 13th for Bastion, and Transistor will be November 1st. Both of them will be, or one of them, Bastion is $15 and Transistor is 20.
Yeah.
So
I've never played them. Um, but the prices seem good, seem right.
yeah, both of these games are Super Giant games, and something that we were talking about before the show is that these are not the Super Giant's most recent game, and I
Mm.
know some people are interested in Pyre, so keep your eyes open for that.
Cool.
All right. That wraps up the news.
News.
News. Next up, Gio.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about what we've been playing this week.
What have I been playing? Well, no, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing?
Yeah, what have you been doing with your life?
Okay. So, first up, I've got the first draft of the Banner Saga 3 review almost done. So, been pecking away at that. And Joe, let's take a stroll, shall we? Let's take a stroll down everybody's favorite retro podcast, Oldest is Goldest. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what this is. This is your boy Philip, and we are talking about old games today. With a caveat, this is a little bit of a cheat entry, can I just say? This is a bit of a cheat entry, okay? Oldest is Goldest is all about old games, all right, and how gold they are. Let's talk about Final Fantasy 12, shall we?
Whoa!
Now, started talking because hey, look, don't give me that. Final Fantasy 12 is fairly old.
Silver Age. That's like Silver Age.
It's still old, okay? It is still old. You pop that thing in your PS2, and the PS2 starts like taking off into the air like a fighter jet because it's so loud at this point. That's a pretty old game.
Okay.
But the reason that it's sort of cheating is because I started replaying Final Fantasy 12 on my PS2 and just kind of got the itch for some HD graphics, maybe a couple like defined job roles. So got the Zodiac Age on the PC, and Gio, can I tell you that revolutionizes that game? It just absolutely revolutionizes that game. I really liked Final Fantasy 12 back in the day. When I played it, I really enjoyed the job. I really enjoyed the license board the way it was, even though there was no jobs. I liked plotting out what role I was going to give my party members. By the end of the game, were they all the same character that were overpowered? Yes. That was the nature of the beast. That is I guess the quote of the night. But some things that when I was younger, I really wasn't into was the story of Final Fantasy 12. I felt that it was a little bit inferior, and then also the characters felt like they were really inferior. Gotta tell you, I was a stupid little idiot. I really was, because this is how my young brain worked. It compared Final Fantasy 12 to Final Fantasy X in every way, because that's just the way that my brain worked when I was a kid. Because Final Fantasy X was not only my first Final Fantasy, but it was my first RPG in general, and I didn't have access to a whole lot of RPGs. So what I did was I was like, oh sweet, another Final Fantasy game I can play, and I compared it to 10. Now, 10 has many flaws in its own right, both with story and with character, but it was my first, so there's so much nostalgia there. And 12 just didn't have the characters, and it just didn't have the story. Yeah, trash all that, okay? Because I'm playing it now, and I'm like, I really, really like this game. I personally like the way that the world is presented. I like sort of the open feel of it. I feel like it was so ahead of its time with making that series a little bit more Western than had been in the past, with sort of an open world with enemies actually visible on the map. You're not transitioning to a battle screen. Not necessarily revolutionary, but just really ahead of its time.
It did change things. It did, definitely. That's where I believe the transition happened. But I'm sorry to have stopped your.
Gia, welcome to Oldest is Goldest. Anytime you wanna stop by, just let me know, okay? But on top of that, like, I found the dungeons to be fun. I found that the inclusion, for those of you who don't know, the Zodiac Age is based off of the Zodiac version of the game that the US never got, which included a job system. So it took the license board, and the way that it works in the Zodiac Age is that instead of getting the entire board where everybody can choose anything, you select a job, and then that job gets a version of the license board. So you can choose 2 jobs throughout the game for each character. So you really it really allows you to build out your party with very specific roles. Now, you could have 4 black mages if you wanted. You could have 4 warrior, classes if you wanted. But it really makes you think about, okay, well, if I do that, I'm going to be completely missing out on these types of skills and this type of class. So I think it's pretty cool. And then can I just tell you that I just found the story just really, really well done. I just think it's a political drama. It's very nuanced. And now that I'm a lot older and I can actually understand what's going on, I was sort of blown away. I was honestly shocked. I was shocked that I was liking it as much as I was. Because when I was younger, it was always gameplay. The gameplay was fun. But now I think the story is great. I think that the characters, I'm going to use a sports analogy real quick, Gio. Quick sports analogy for you. Okay?
I can hang.
Some football teams have superstars, right? Whether on offense or defense,
yes,
they got superstars.
Do.
Okay,
you talking the Patriots?
I'm not talking about the Patriots, but some teams have superstars.
Sure.
At different positions, some teams who are just as good as those other teams with superstars, they don't necessarily have superstars, but they have a unit. They have a strong unit. That's what I feel like this cast of characters is. There's not really any huge standouts. There's not any that you're just going to flood these characters and say like Dissidia, but you're not going to put them on like the Hall of Fame or the Mount Rushmore of Final Fantasy characters. But as a unit, this is a really good cast, and they work really well in the system that they're put in, right? And so that's just this is what I feel about 12. And then I got to tell you, I like the Gambits. I really like the Gambits. It was giving me Dragon Age Origins vibes because, yes, the combat is automated, but all the strategy takes place before the combat. It's almost like a good simulation. You set everything up, you build your party how it's supposed to, and then you go and watch it work. You trust the process, and everything else will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Oldest is Goldest. This has been your host, Philip, and now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Hey, Phil, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
Where
so, Gio, what you
go?
been playing this week?
Dude, I can't follow up with that. Like, what do you expect? What was going on? I played Hand of Fate 2.
Yeah.
I started. I didn't start. I am done with Salt and Sanctuary. So
you were on the edge last week.
I am done. I'm gonna put it away for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years. Okay, and then I'll maybe think about playing it again. So Salt and Sanctuary, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. I am just not good at it. So I'm done with that. I've also started playing Divinity Original Sin 2.
I know you were excited about that game.
Yeah. Oh my god, I absolutely love it. There's a game preview for Xbox, so I've been playing that, and when the full version comes out, I'm primed. I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
The customization in that, it's the truest sense of the pen and paper experience in a video game right now. It's perfect. It's really perfect. So that's really all I've been playing right now. My son has been bugging me to play. There's this game called Baldi's Basics. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Is that what you're playing tonight?
That's what I was playing a few days ago for about a week straight. Baldi's Basics. Now, it's not the greatest. It's not a great game at all. But it reminds me a lot of what Slenderman was, the original game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going down corridors and everything. So you're looking for 7 notebooks or whatever. It's the dumbest game ever. But that was on my list. It's a game I've played. So Baldi's Basics. It's free. It's free. It's one of those trash games that he found on YouTube, and he was just really into it. So I figured I'd give it a try, and yeah, it's
what a good dad, man.
Yeah,
that's what Father Nintendo does.
That's what I think we're done though playing the game, because he's just kind of getting a little bit too obsessed with it. So he had a good week and a half run with it. So
okay, gotta pull things back.
And there's really not much to the game. It's kind of terrible. So I'm glad that it's really over. But Yeah, I don't have an oldest is goldest narrative in me. So yeah, that's all you're getting on.
That's good. That's fine.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
All right. Uh, let's move on to the games that are releasing or have released recently, because I don't think we've covered this list in a couple of weeks. So first up, we've got back on the 23rd. We had Fall of Light Darkest Edition release. We had Fern's Gate release, and then on the 24th we had Little Dragon's Cafe release. We do have a review on the site for that. Today, the 28th, we've got Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate releasing, and then Into the Breach on the 28th as well. So there's that. And then on the 30th, we've got Haunted Dungeons Hayaki Castle has released. So
That game looks weird.
does it really?
Yeah, yeah, it looks odd to me. Monster Hunter Generations. Are you still into that, or not Generations? What is it?
The Generations Ultimate.
Yeah.
I have not played the demo yet. I really want to, but now that it's released, what I'm thinking about doing is checking out some gameplay on YouTube, and that way I'll kind of get a feel for how things are, like how the game plays, how it's different from World, because I know it is different from Worlds. Yeah. So I really want to sort of get a feel for it before. Like I said, I've got some games that I really want to get this next month. So I want to make sure that Generations is something that, I can actually invest in. Plus, I know it's going to take a lot of time away. So I might need to wait till there's not Dragon Quest 11 right around the corner to get into it. So
Sure.
That's my thing there.
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's all the games from this week. So I think it's time to hear from the listeners.
Let's do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to hear from you. Remember, we're all about community here at the Switch RPG Podcast. So if you want to be part of the show, like the following folks are going to be tonight, then remember you can email your questions. And the best way to do that is to go to switchrpg.com/podcast. We've got a form there that's really easy for you to fill out, and click submit, and it will automatically email to us. Great stuff. All right, let's kick it off with a question from Captain Vulgar. And he says, what do y'all think about Torchlight? I remember playing Torchlight 2 when I was younger, and I was delightfully surprised to see a new being made. I hope it comes to Switch. Torchlight
2 was really good. I'm not sure if you've ever played it, but it's in the same vein as Diablo and Path of Exile. So it's got that same feel and vibe to it. The art style is different though, but
can I break a lot of your hearts? That style of game is just not. This is not up my alley. Diablo, like Path of Exile. It's just not there.
Later.
Gee, I need a reason to play Path of Exile. I can play with you. You can be my reason.
Your best reason.
Yeah, I honestly I've never played a Diablo game, and that's just because, like, for some reason I've seen it and it just is not clicking. It's just not clicking. I've held that in for so long, but I'm finally letting you know. This is confessions.
Dude, you should have said that from the start. So now I'm gonna mention it every single episode because I hadn't mentioned it in a while. But
you haven't.
Is incredible.
The greatest game of all time.
I don't know what it is with me with that game. I don't know if it's. I like the gameplay. I like mashing through a bunch of mobs, a bunch of enemies. But what I really like is the loot. Okay, I like the randomness of it. I like the different hierarchy. Your legendaries, your rares. I love doing that. With Path of Exile, they also have a passive skill tree that's like beyond like comprehension to some people.
You've seen me this. You've sent me the screenshots.
Yeah, so I mean that's passive skill tree is intense, but with I could say with and again this kind of stems into Borderlands. That's also kind of a loop based. It's a first person. It's on Is it an action RPG? Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it's a shooter RPG.
Yeah, so I
Borderlands
mean,
2 especially is very RPG.
but it's got that aspect of the loot drops, which is why the writing in it is awesome. I think it's hilarious, but just the fact that you get the random loot and things, I think that's what really draws me into those types of games. But they're really fun to me. They are I could see where they would be kind of monotonous. You're running through the same dungeons, you're doing the same types of stuff. The stories in most of those games are kind of forgettable, like in Diablo and in Path of Exile. Okay, they are forgettable, but I don't know. They're just fun for me. That's really what it is. But with Torchlight 2, it looks very different. And I don't with this new iteration, I didn't really see too much of it, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's the same. It can't be the same developers because I think they kind of folded, right? I think they did.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe they did, which is why you can't even play Torchlight 1 and 2 because there's no, well, maybe I don't know, but the original developers have kind of crumbled. So maybe this new developer is taking that on, and so they'll have the name where they can. Yeah, that would be awesome if they could put it on a Switch console.
You can play Torchlight 2 on Steam.
Is it still available? See, I thought, like I said, I thought the servers were gone. But
it's an online thing. Oh, okay,
yeah,
well, you can buy it on Steam.
So maybe it's a single player, but I've always played it online with some friends. So
yeah, I mean, Steam has it for both 1 and 2 for sale. So
okay.
It does say that there is a single player option. So
yeah,
so there you go.
You should play it, man. There's so much fun.
All right. When Dragon Quest 11 isn't around the corner, then
oh geez, Dragon Quest 11. I so wish I could play. Anyways, so we do have another question from a new user on Discord, Quarter.
No.
Sure, Quarter. What are your feelings on time-based attack elements in RPGs, and why don't we see them more? For example, the time hits in Super Mario RPG or Legend of Dragoon, or maybe Saban's Blitz technique in Final Fantasy VI. Sorry. What?
Why don't we see them more? I really don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. Because I think that it does add something to turn-based system. We even saw elements of it in Final Fantasy X when you got into the overdrives. You did the overdrives. You had the different things like Titus. You had to, time the button just right. With Auron, it was the sequence of things. You had like a slot machine. So like we do even see things like that in that game. In Final Fantasy VIII, you could do was it like R1 so that you shot the gun blade for a little bit extra damage.
And you kind of see it in Xenoblade 2 Chronicles 2, right?
I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 isn't a turn-based game, right? I mean, so like...
Well, he says time-based.
True. Yeah, okay. Then yes, I mean...
Time-based elements in RPGs.
Sure. So to what you're saying, yes, because if you hit the buttons at just the right time, then you get extra damage. And then also if you're positioned just right, it does extra. So yeah, okay. So I'm with you there. So we do see it. Why don't we see it more? I think what could benefit most, like I was saying, is turn-based because it adds something, right? Whether that's extra damage, whether that is alleviating damage. I'm thinking of Saturday Morning RPG. I kind of liked the system that it had where as you're attacking, you can do button presses and different weapons and different attacks and skills require different sort of quote unquote mini games as you attacked, so that it would just to hit or to do more damage, you would have to time things just right. And even when you were defending, there was like a defending button, and each enemy had like a different speed of attack, so that it would sort of throw off. You couldn't just get into a rhythm of hit square, or in this case, I guess it would be X or Y, or I don't know. I've been playing on an Xbox controller, and it's throwing me off on my on my Switch controller. So. So I'm thinking Saturday Morning RPG is kind of sort of a neat example of a turn-based system that does what Quarter is talking about to great effect. I wish that we did see it more in other turn-based systems too.
There is another game coming out for the Switch at some point. I'm not sure when it is, called Legrand Legacy. They kind of do the same thing that Mario RPG does, where you and Saturday Morning RPG, where you have to do time-based defense and offense too. So that's actually right in line to what he's talking about. So again, Legrand Legacy, it's not out yet. It didn't do very well on Steam, but it is coming out eventually for the Switch.
But just to specifically answer the question, what are my feelings of it? I like them. I want more of them. Yep. Yes, because I think it spices up traditional turn-based combat. All right, question from Paul Nichols. What is your favorite subgenre of RPG and why? He gives some examples of JRPG, ARPG for action RPG, tactical, isometric, strategy, roguelike, etc. Gio, what's your favorite subgenre?
I've been really getting into Japanese RPGs. More and again, that's you could break that down even further into things like I wish I had a JRPG machine like the PlayStation 4 is, where I could play Ni no Kuni, where I could play Persona 5, where I could play that aesthetic. I think the anime style aesthetic, I'm like really into it right now. I think more of that's because I'm watching a lot more anime right now. So it's just kind of super clicking with me. So, but I've always been into turn-based RPGs. I like action RPGs, strategy RPGs. It really does depend. Like Mario plus Rabbids, I like that. Yeah, it doesn't flow with me like the others do, but I could get into it depending on the game, I guess.
Favorite for me, I think if you'd asked me, I don't know. It's weird because I was introduced through Final Fantasy, which, to be fair, isn't the most Japanese of JRPG, right, series. So I think even though I was introduced to it through Final Fantasy, I went kind of Western for a while. I mean, if you look at Elder Scrolls, playing Elder Scrolls, playing Fallout, playing Dragon Age, that sort of was what I played for a long time. But I would say in the past 3 to 5 years, the JRPG subgenre has really struck a chord with me, and specifically finding those much, like I said, because I mean Final Fantasy isn't the most Japanese JRPG out there, as far as like how wacky it is. Yeah. And even in terms of mechanics and stuff. And and so I'm finding myself, like you, going toward more that sort of anime aesthetic when it comes to story and characters. And I think that's sort of where I am right now. And really, because if we're talking about, it's not just aesthetic, but I guess the turn-based, time-based combat is sort of my go-to. I am liking tactical more, but I just haven't played enough tactical RPGs to really say, hey, this is my favorite. So I think JRPG is sort of my go-to at the moment.
Yeah. And one thing that's, he didn't list it because you can go on forever listing out types of RPGs, but MMOs, I wish we
Mhm.
could see more of them, at least better quality ones. I feel like there's just way too many, and there was a time where everyone was trying to be the
Mhm.
next World of Warcraft. But I wish we could see a really decent one on the Switch, like a traditional MMO, like your Guild Wars, your World of Warcraft. Xbox is getting Black Desert, so those type of game. I would even accept an Elder Scrolls Online on a Switch, but something like that. I wish we could see more.
You bring up a good point. MMO is definitely a very valid subgenre here, and that's to me the dangerous one for me. If I'm not
For
careful,
anyone.
I get sucked into MMOs pretty deeply, and in fact, I'm kind of after playing Final Fantasy 12, kind of getting the itch for Final Fantasy 14 again, which I don't doesn't need to happen. It just can't happen, so I just won't
Don't
even
do
let
it.
myself open it on my computer. So yeah, I love MMOs. All right. Final questions from Firestream. And he asks, what is the biggest challenge in doing a weekly podcast?
This is an interesting question.
This is very interesting. Because I think it's interesting because it doesn't have to do with gaming. And, I mean, I guess we've never really said this, but you guys, if you ever have questions for us that don't doesn't pertain to gaming, pertains
Mhm.
to life.
We'll answer anything.
Yeah, feel free to ask. So that's why I kind of like this question. But what do you think? I mean, you're the one that does 2 shows a week, so.
Yeah, I do 2 shows a week. I think just keeping up with news um, can be a pretty daunting task. With Switch RPG in particular, it's a little easier because we're in a more of a niche market, I guess you could call it, where it's not like we're dealing with all the Switch titles or all Nintendo. We're dealing with Nintendo Switch RPGs, so it's a little easier to find a lot of the news stories and a lot of the talking points with that. I mean, we do branch out quite a bit. I mean, we don't only play Nintendo Switch RPGs. So, but finding news, things to talk about can be worrying sometimes because sometimes I feel like we don't have enough to talk about, but we always find the time to talk about stuff. So, that for me and maybe for you, but scheduling I do too, and I think you did too, or at one point. So you
Mhm.
did you and you have other things going on, but scheduling is always an issue. So um, that's one thing. And then when equipment doesn't work, sometimes that's always a problem. And I know initially when we were doing this, that was kind of a big hurdle. So, um, but either way, it's always fun. It's always you know especially working with you. You're like the consummate pro here. You're like it's easier to do this with you. So
Oh, thank
I
you.
just want I just wanted to say that coming from
Uh,
Father Nintendo.
from Father, that means a lot. No, and it is a lot easier when you do have a very good co-host, which I am very blessed with. But challenges, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head with tech. Anytime tech gets in the way of the show, it's frustrating.
Hmm.
I think that we are quite fortunate that the show, other than I think pausing for a holiday or two, we've not taken a week off the show, which I feel a lot of pride in,
Hmm.
and that isn't because there hasn't been some hardships, because we
Sure.
did what I know either it was either 1 or 2 times we lost an entire recording because of tech,
Me.
because of computer.
Just say
And
me.
no, no, it wasn't because of you. There's nothing you can do about it. But then we had to like record a second night. So,
Yeah.
and then there was stuff on my end, like we wanted to live stream the show, but my internet is so bad that we couldn't. And in fact, it was so bad it was actually affecting the
Yeah.
the audio, and so our audio and video got unsynced and stuff like that. So I mean, we finally, I feel like every week I just pray to the tech gods that it's just going to go okay. Like just
Sure.
just go okay. And we've had pretty smooth sailing for, you know, a few months now, which is, you know, fingers
Knocking on wood here,
crossed.
bud.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fingers crossed. Because even we had two guests in the past 2 weeks, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but
And they went relatively well, so
went relatively well. We didn't lose any footage or anything, so that's great.
Mm-mm.
The other big thing for me is time. That is investment. Time investment is a big thing because I'm, you know, and this isn't, I'm not trying to, you know, cry here or anything, but like, I mean, I know Gio, you and I both work full time throughout the day. So we get home and, you know, I'm tired from work, you know, you've got a family. I got to make sure, you know, I get something to eat, that, you know, I see my girlfriend for a few minutes, and then boom, I just know Monday nights, here it is. We got to get up and go. But then also that means that Tuesday night is my editing night. So I devote 2 nights a week for the podcast because, you know, all in all, I think we sort of set aside about 2 hours to record this. And then it takes me, because I'm editing the show and the video, it takes me 2.5 hours to edit. So that's 2 nights of the week that, you know, that's invested in the show. And
Right.
it's totally worth it. Like, I mean, I cannot tell you enough just how much enjoyment I get out of this. And I hope that, you know, everybody listening, you get enjoyment out of it too, because it's just totally worth it. But that is the biggest thing, is time. And I think that last week was sort of a good example of just how much time it takes, because like I said, Tuesday is my editing night, and it happened out that was my brother's 15th birthday. And my mom had texted me like a few days before and said, hey, look, I know you're busy, but the only thing your brother asked for his birthday this week was for the whole family to be together, because we're not able to be together a whole lot. And so, like, I knew, okay, Tuesday night is my editing night, but I just had to give it up, you know, to go hang out with my family, you know?
Yeah.
So then that's why the video of the podcast was late, because I chose family over the show for one night, you know? So, so that's the big
You
thing.
should have told me this.
Wait, why?
You're choosing family over this? This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
I know, what a selfish jerk.
I know.
So anyway, so that's the big thing, is just like the biggest challenge is balancing time. But I mean, it is totally worth it. It's worth everything. So I wouldn't ask for anything different.
Yeah.
Fantastic questions, guys. This is great. That actually wraps up the questions. Gio, you know what time it is?
Man, it is getting later and later every time you ask me. I mean, why do you don't have clocks there in your place? Seriously, it is.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the actual time.
I'm gonna quit doing this because it's not even that funny anymore. Okay?
It wasn't funny the first time. No, I'm kidding. I get it.
No, it really wasn't that funny.
Cue the music. It's side quest time. Ba-ba-ba-da-boom. All right, Gio, you did something a little bit different this week with side quests. Why don't you tell us what you did?
I did. So just to kind of give us a little more talking points, I posted the question on Twitter as well as Discord, just to get other opinions in this, because we do like to post it after the episode, and we don't really get too much involvement. So I figured if I could do it before, and then, you know, we can talk about what some of these people had to say, I think it'll be a little more interesting.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. So I brought it up on Twitter, and I brought it up in our Discord channel, and the question was, let me pull this up here quickly. Sorry. So, which RPG has the most unique, interesting, or is your personal favorite in-game currency? We can go over some of the answers. So let's see here. Phineas Fool says probably Fallout with the bottle caps. Vehicular Vehicle says I like Gald from
Gald.
Tales. Gald, okay. Yakushi, he just placed an image of Musashi. It's a Brave Fencer game. I'm not familiar with this title at all. And also, Captain Bulger said, with Cyberpunk 2077, the name of the currency are eddies. And he put, sounds odd, but easy to remember. Yeah, that's definitely different. But yeah, cool there. What do you got on Twitter? Do you have that?
So on
pulled
Twitter,
up there?
Paul Nichols said, I can tell you I didn't like the renown system in the Banner Saga series, although it was unique and added some strategic depth into the overall game. We had Tim Taylor said it's Fallout, no question. He's obviously talking about
the bottle
caps there. 360 brought in Dark Souls because whenever you buy something, you are literally paying with the souls of your vanquished enemies.
Indeed, you are.
We've got Secret of Evermore and its currency trade system, and then that was from Zetai Ryuki. And then Cassandra Ramos says the first one that comes to mind are Macetus from Phantasy Star. You can all experience that this year. What I find interesting is that the money seems to be shaped like pyramidal gemstones instead of coins or bills, at least if Phantasy Star Online is anything to go by. Seems cumbersome, but they look smaller than rupees at least.
Cool.
Interesting, yeah, taking the sort of the weight, the aesthetic, and the look of it. Very, very cool.
Yep.
And I think the same could be said for bottle caps. That's an interesting idea. I think that what's cool about the bottle caps to me is that it's tied to the lore.
Right,
because
it's taking the trash, right? And
yeah, because it's
think,
like, okay, in this world where money now means nothing, what means something? And so once again, like money only has value because we place value on it.
Mm-hmm.
So what thing did we put value on in Bethesda's future? It was bottle caps. I just think I think it's pretty freaking cool.
Now, did you catch this one with Retrofresh TV on Twitter?
It doesn't look like I did. Like I said, I hate how Twitter conversations are.
It is kind of weird. But they put, I like the things I am Setsuna, where it's just money, but only acquired through the sale of goods. Dogs don't carry money. Even the varied kill system makes sort of sense. I've never played I Am Setsuna.
Okay,
so.
that's interesting that he brings that up, because I was actually thinking about this when I was playing Final Fantasy 12. This is kind of a funny story. I forgot that, unless I'm completely wrong, somebody tell me, normal mobs don't drop money in Final Fantasy 12. They drop loot, but they don't drop actual money as far as I remember. Now, like human mobs may actually drop money, but I think most of the other mobs actually just drop loot and you have to sell the loot. And so I was thinking that was really interesting because the currency itself is almost the loot. So
right.
I'm glad that he brought up a game that actually did have that system where.
But it kind of makes sense. You're not going to kill a dog or an enemy that would never carry money.
Yeah.
To gain money, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense. What is your personal favorite or?
Well, so I didn't necessarily go personal favorite here. I did want to talk about one that I thought was interesting, and that was the renown system. Now, the way that you were explaining Dark Souls to me before the show makes me think this is a very similar system. Now, Paul Nichols mentioned he didn't like it, and I'll say that it frustrated me to no end. Okay, the renown system and the Banner Saga, but almost in a good way, because one of the main focuses of that game is scarcity and the idea of choice matters. And so it even carries that out in the currency, because when you complete battles or make certain choices, you gain renown. And renown is a one-stop shop for you upgrade your units, you buy resources. Okay, so you upgrade your units, you buy resources with renown. So what that forces you to do is it gives you a choice. Do I and you also buy items. That's the other thing. So you buy
Okay.
items, you buy actual food, and then you upgrade your units. So it is a constant, especially in Banner Saga 1, where renown is very difficult to come by. It is a struggle of, do I make my units stronger, or do I make sure that I don't run out of food and starve my clansmen? So it is this give and take. So I just thought that was an interesting system where the money was also used to actually make your unit stronger, and it forced you to choose one or the other. And then it reflected the whole philosophy of the game of scarcity, harshness, grit, and make your choice and live with the consequence.
Hmm. That's kind of where I actually like that. Like, say for example, for me, Dark Souls is really interesting because yes, you kill your enemies, you get their souls, or which is essentially like gold. So you can gather souls, and you can spend it to level yourself up, or you can spend it on items. Now, in the game, I don't know how much you're familiar with Dark Souls, so say it's you can lose it all. So you've gained all these souls, and an enemy kills you, there goes all your souls. Now you do have the opportunity to go back and gain it, but you have to go to the same spot where you died, and you have to gather your souls. So you can reobtain it, but if you die again before you reobtain it, you've lost it all. So it kind of holds you back as well. So again, you're trying to kill all these enemies, you gather your souls, and then on the way to go spend it, you can lose it all. So it really can stop you in your tracks and from progressing in the game. But I absolutely love that mechanic. I love the difficulty in Dark Souls. That's just one of the things that makes it hard. So I, I just and you're spending all the things that were once living. You, like the guy said, the is it Paul?
Mm-hmm.
No, not Paul Nichols. Is it 360
Yeah,
gentleman? Yeah, you're spending the souls of your vanquished enemies,
that
and
is pretty awesome. That's
that
pretty
is
awesome.
awesome. Um, so yeah, that's cool. Then you have I feel like and this is the one constant, not one of the constant things that through Final Fantasy is the Guild,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. That's just one constant. Um, they've had chocobos and things like that, so that's always interested in me as well. Um, yeah. So yeah, I just thought it would be fun to talk about this.
Gil holds a special place in my heart since it was like the first RPG currency that I
Mhm.
experienced. Kingdom Hearts has money, but it's spelled MUNNIE or Y. I can't remember. But
Oh,
I
how
was just
cute.
like, wow, way to fit the aesthetic of the game. And then a cheat one because there is actually money currency. But a bit of a personal one is going back to Guild Wars 1. And the reason I say personal because I don't know if this was game wide or maybe just the era that I played in. But there was sort of a currency within the currency when it came to Guild Wars 1 while I was playing, and that was die. Because
Yep.
die was random drops,
Oh,
and
that black dye.
the black die, there was an entire economy, an entire player to player trade system based on black die.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the gold, like that was the gold standard. It was
Mm-hmm.
like everything in the game was sort of priced around what is black die going for right now?
Right.
That was the thing that I loved the most because that was back when Guild Wars 2 did away with like player to player trading. But there were entire off-site auction houses. There were third-party auction houses for Guild Wars 1 and there was an entire economy completely outside of the game. And my brother and I, who poured hundreds of hours into Guild Wars 1, it was always you get that black die drop, what's it going for right now? How many black dies can I trade for so-and-so item that I needed for this armor or whatever? So that's sort of my like personal cheat one, was the currency of the black die in Guild Wars 1.
And you can, kind of a spin-off of that with World of Warcraft, you can actually trade, I think people do it with in real money, with the World of Warcraft gold. So they're actually selling the gold. They sell accounts all the time, but that's a whole different ball game.
It's illegal and it's terrible and it's unethical, but
we don't condone that.
Yeah, we don't condone that. We definitely don't. But it's interesting.
But that black die, oh my god, you bring back so many memories of me just trying to farm that die. Just to, I don't remember what it goes for, at the time, but man.
It was a lot of platinum. It was a lot of platinum, that's for sure.
Yeah, man. I burned a lot of days trying to get that stuff. But yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
it was cool seeing that.
Yeah, great. Okay, so everybody, like we said, be on the lookout on Twitter or on Discord for like next week's side quest. We haven't chosen it yet, but as soon as Gio decides, then go ahead and give us your responses so that we can read them next time. I think it was a great idea, Gio.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's gonna wrap up episode 21.
Wow.
I think this was a good episode. This was the first time Gio and I have just been mono and mono in a while. So we had a bunch of guests, but thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to everyone who sent in questions, sent in answers to side quests, stuff like that. Keep them coming. Remember, you can send us emails by filling out the form at switchrpg.com/podcast. Remember, we now have a forum now on the site, so if you want to be a part of that, you definitely can at switchrpg.com/forum. And then remember, you can listen to our podcast each and every week on your favorite podcasting app. If you're listening on an app, we always like to remind you that you can drop us a rating and review. If it's 5 stars, we'll be sure to read it on the show. The reason why we keep asking is because ratings and reviews is kind of how you rise up the ranks on iTunes and stuff like that. We show up more in searches and things like that. So that would mean a lot to us if you could drop us a review. If you like what you hear, remember you can head over to patreon.com/switchrpg and drop us $1 or $2 if you can afford it. If not, totally understand. Everybody's got a budget. You just being a part of our community, being here at SwitchRPG, is what means the most to us. So we appreciate you coming and watching our stuff, listening to our stuff, posting on everything week in and week out. You guys are rock stars. And remember, finally, you can head over to switchrpg.com for all of your RPG needs on the Nintendo Switch platform. Until next week, remember that Dragon Quest XI is coming out very, very soon, but not on the Switch.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.